For several days, a large werewolf has been scaring the residents here. You know that the werewolf has a wife, and she's the only person who can calm the monster down and help him return to his human form. You have found 3 girls. Each of them might be the werewolf's wife you're looking for. You ask his wife to approach him, but none of the girls admits she's the one you need, so you have to make your own choice. Do you see some wool on the girl's clothes? It's the wolf's fur, which means she's the wife. She walks up to the monster, hugs it, and the werewolf turns into a human. You're hungry. You drop by a pizzeria. The owner of the restaurant says that someone has taken all his weekly earnings from the safe. The thief wore gloves and left no fingerprints. The video cameras were turned off. You know this pizzeria has had several similar incidents over the past year. Every time, the insurance company paid the owner the entire amount that had been stolen. You're sure the owner took his own money to use the insurance again. Take a look at the office and prove that the owner is guilty. Look at the air vent. Behind the grated hatch, you can see the bundles of the stolen money you've been looking for. Suddenly, someone shoved Stacy into the water. Down in the Sea Kingdom, Stacy met Neptune. He was sitting on his throne, surrounded by 3 mermaids. Neptune asked Stacy to return the pearl necklace to his wife. She had recently lost it, and Luke found the necklace on the shore. Can you guess which mermaid is Neptune's wife? The third one. She's the only one who's wearing an engagement ring. When Stacy gave the necklace to its rightful owner, Neptune snapped his fingers. His guards brought Luke. Neptune said, "I'll let you go home safely, but you have to choose the right door." There were demons behind the first door. They were ready to eat anyone who dared to come in. There was lava all over the floor of the room behind the second door. And finally, there was a laser beam that could cut through anything it touched behind the third door. Which door should Stacy and Luke choose? The third one. They can crawl under the beam without touching it. You were in a hurry and forgot to lock the apartment door while leaving. Someone got in and locked the door from the inside, and you had to use the key to open it. You see a human silhouette standing in the shadows and realize that you know this person. Who is it? It's the woman who asked you to help her brother. She was wearing a red bracelet. The silhouette has the same accessory. "I came here to thank you in person. The door was open, but you weren't at home," the woman says. A mysterious biologist invites you to his home for dinner. He takes you down to the basement and puts 3 plates of weird items on the table. One has wild mushrooms with white gills. The second is filled with castor beans. The third has some fish brains. Which one is safe to eat? The plate of fish brains is the only dish that isn't poisonous. Someone got into Matthew's house during a severe rainstorm and took a lot of expensive stuff. The man called the police. They came over and started to interview the neighbors. Nicole said she lived alone and worked from home. She was inside the whole day. Jerry explained he was a chef in an Italian restaurant. He came back from work only half an hour ago. Sophia told the police she hadn't left home because she was ill. Who was the intruder? It was Nicole. She claimed that she'd been inside the entire day, but there was a wet umbrella in the corner. Kim and Ashley are best friends. They decided to spend summer vacation in Italy together. They were very lucky to buy cheap plane tickets. Their flight was at 10 a.m. Unfortunately, when the girls arrived at the airport, they realized it was the wrong one. Now, they have 2 options. To take a high-speed train for $100 to go to the right airport, or stay here and buy tickets for a later flight for $400. What should they choose? The second option. Look at the clock on the wall. It's 9:55 a.m. The boarding for their flight is already over. They won't make it even if they take a high-speed train. Kim and Ashley bought new tickets. They went to the airport restaurant to drink coffee. But one weird detail scared Kim away. She suggested they should leave that place as soon as possible. What did Kim see? This woman over there is a zombie. Wow! How did she get through security? When it was time to finally board the plane, it turned out there were no more economy class seats left. Kim and Ashley were offered to fly in business class. There, the girls saw 3 people. When the flight attendant served them fresh juice, she whispered that Kim and Ashley were extremely lucky. They were about to travel next to a famous Italian billionaire. Can you guess which of these passengers is the billionaire? This glamorous lady is a good candidate, but it's very unlikely a billionaire will wear a 100% polyester coat. This guy's business suit is very elegant, but look at his shoes. They seem quite cheap and worn out. This funny gentleman must be the real billionaire. Although his outfit is rather casual, his gold watch looks very expensive. Once, a bank was robbed. The police suspected that one of the bank security guards had helped the criminals. Detective Justin had to question 3 of them. The first security guard told him he had heard some shouting and rushed there, but by the time he arrived, the criminals had already been gone. The second security guard explained he had been drinking a cup of coffee at that moment and hadn't even heard anything. And the third guard said he had run after the thieves, but he had to lace his boots. Without a second thought, he crouched near an emergency exit. At that very moment, the door opened and hit him on the head. When he came back, the criminals had been gone. Justin immediately understood which guard was guilty. Who was it? It was the third guard. All emergency doors open outwards for safety reasons. The police have been looking for Kyle for 2 days. The guy went hiking and never came back. Finally, he was found. Someone had hit him on the head and left him lying in the bushes. Kyle only managed to say, "Friend," in a weak voice, and lost consciousness. The police officers had 3 suspects, all of them Kyle's friends. Zachary said he spent the last days at work getting ready for a conference. Jesse told the detective he'd sprained his ankle and had been in bed for 4 days. And Billy explained he'd been to New York for business. The man even showed the police officers his boarding pass. Who's behind the accident with Kyle? Police immediately noticed that Billy had showed just 1 boarding pass. Then how did he get back from New York? His story sounds fishy. Uh-oh. Tommy was exploring old caves outside the city when he got trapped in a mysterious dungeon. There were 3 ways out, but only one of them was safe. Behind the first door, a fire was raging. Behind the second door, there was acid rain which could melt any substance within seconds. Behind the third door, there was a huge brown bear that hadn't eaten for 2 years. Which way should Tommy choose? Tommy should choose the third way. No animal can go for 2 years without food and survive. Barely, haha. It was a stormy day and it had been raining for several hours straight. A car accident happened in a tunnel. The yellow car crashed into the red one. The driver of the yellow car said it had been raining so heavily he hadn't seen anything. So the accident wasn't totally his fault, but the police asked the man to stop lying and claimed it was all his fault. Why? The accident happened in the tunnel. It couldn't be raining there. Mrs. Cabell is the owner of a small company producing expensive designer cups. On Friday, when the working week was finally over, she got a call from her bank. The woman found out that someone had stolen all the money she had saved. Mrs. Cabell realized it must have been one of her workers. So she asked each of them what they had been doing that day. Sloan, a sales manager, said she'd been talking to their clients and looking for new ones. Atticus, a potter, said that he always made 1 cup a day, and he showed all the cups he had done that week. Sierra, a designer, said that she'd been working. but also admitted she hadn't really been productive that day because of some family issues. Who lied? Atticus, there are 5 working days in the regular week. The man said he made 1 mug a day, but he only showed 4 mugs. It means he missed 1 day of work. Your first task is quite simple. I'll show you 2 versions of the same logo, and you'll have to find the original. Let's start off easy with the YouTube logo. Do you remember it? I'm sure you do. Here's the one. Next one will be Puma. So, which one do you pick? It's gonna be this one, 100%. Moving on to Xbox. Can you see the one and only? Yes, it's the one on the right. Now, it's PlayStation's turn. What's your best guess? Yeah, it's this one. Hello Kitty's time. Do you think you can get it right? This one is the original. Okay, Monster High now. What are you leaning towards? Here it is, the left one. What about Airbus logo? Do you recognize it? Here's the one. Next up, Steve. So what do you pick? Great! This is the one. One of these is Naughty Dog's logo, and the other one, not really. What do you say? It's the one on the left. Here comes Yelp. Can you spot it? Pick this one, and you won't be wrong. What's the correct logo of Garnier? This is it. Next up is Burton. What do you think? The one on the right is the right one. Yves Rocher. Do you see the original? Here it is. Okay, now find the right TripAdvisor logo. This is the one. What about Viber's logo? Here it is. Now I'll change the task. I'll show you logos and you have to name the brand or the company. Ready? What is this rainbow logo? That's Skittles. Want to taste the rainbow, anyone? Any thoughts on this bee? That's Hummel, a Spanish sportswear company. Who is this mister here? It's Captain Crunch, the cereal dude. Next up, this one. Thoughts? That's Roxy, of course. What do you say about this one? Rovio. It's a Finnish video game developer. They created Angry Birds. Just saying. What about this one? Hublot, a Swiss watch brand. Looks like something serious here. What do you say? That's Stanford University. Oh, I have this one for you. Yep, it's hard, but I never promised it to be easy. It's Dulux, and any ideas what they produce? If you've ever painted your walls, you'll know it's an architectural paint brand. I'll give you a break with this line. Any ideas? Holden, an Australian car brand. Okay, this one is the easiest possible. Hit it. That's Jurassic Park, of course. Who is this cute guy? That's GIMP, a graphic app. Here's another one for you. Thoughts? That's the logo of Green Lantern. Did you get it right? Do you recognize this guy? It's Drupal, a platform for web content management. Another cool one. Ideas? Legendary Pictures. I'm speaking here about Dune, Godzilla, King Kong, Interstellar. Don't even get me started. Something harder for you now. Do you know this brand? It's Patek Philippe, a watch manufacturer. What about this one? It's Vera Wang, a wedding dress designer. What do you say? That's United Airlines. What do C and H stand for? Carolina Herrera, a fashion brand. What about this one? Royal Canin, a well-known pet food brand. That's a great logo. Do you know to whom it belongs? The Offspring. What do you say? Magna Steyr, an automobile manufacturer from Austria. Next up, this one. Do you have any ideas? Fisher. They produce ski equipment and hockey sticks. Have you ever seen this logo? Try it. Julius Meinl, an Austrian tea and coffee brand. What about this one? Kettler, furniture for sports, gardens, and so on. This one is cute. What's it called? It's Mammoth, a Swiss outdoor company. Another cutie for you. Do you remember the name of this brand? That's Bimbo. They make some of my favorite snacks. HH, what is it? Helly Hansen, a Norwegian clothes manufacturer. It's a cool one, but what's the brand? Louis, a Spanish brand producing leather goods. Do you recognize this logo? Powerade, that blue sports drink. Who is this fancy warrior lady? That's the logo of the Bank of England. What about this flower? Does it ring a bell? Yoplait, of course. Their yogurt is yummy. What about these cute chicks? That's Galina Blanca. This one is way too familiar. You see this on your ice cream all the time. Heart brand. Name this spiral. Dreamcast, a home video game console. What about this face? Playmobil. This one is pretty common, so I think you know it. Google Wallet. Another cute one for you to recognize. Have you seen him before? Hipmunk. He used to help you find good deals for traveling until it shut down. What is this organization? WHO, World Health Organization. Another serious one here. Do you know what this logo is? That's World Trade Organization. Do you know this one? Food and Agriculture Organization. Change of task. I'll show you only parts of logos and you'll guess what it is. Let's start with this one. What do you think? That's Furby, a famous toy. This one isn't hard. What do you say? Showtime, of course. We all know and love it. Can you recognize it? Juicy fruit. This one is quite colorful. Do you remember it? Hip, of course. You could have seen it on those little jars. What about this one? Does it ring a bell? Wacom, a Japanese brand of graphic tablets. Next up, this one. I know you know it. Sears, the department stores. This one isn't easy to recognize, but it's very famous. What do you say? Palmolive. Here's the next one for you. Any ideas? That's everyone's favorite, Maltesers, of course. It's the palm tree of your childhood. Don't overthink it, it's just Mamba. The next one is this. Any ideas? Jacobs, a coffee brand. A little part of something famous. Can you locate it? Queen, the music band. You must know it well. What do you say? The Big Bang Theory, a sitcom. Another one for you. Hit it! Breaking Bad, another TV show. Just two more. What about this part of the logo? Petco, of course. Pet food and pet supplies. Just a little piece, but you've got it. What's your call? Dollar Tree. So how many did you get right? Let's find the winner. Katie and John went on vacation together to an exotic location. In their first week, they booked a tour to the desert. But during the tour, the couple got lost. They were really thirsty, so they decided to go look for some water. Soon enough, the couple came across a huge oasis. But to reach the main waterfall where they could drink some water, they had to cross a bridge. But there were 3 bridges leading to the same place. The first bridge was high above the ground. and the ropes holding it looked as if they could rip at any second. The second bridge had some hungry-looking alligators crawling all over it, and the last bridge stretched over a lake full of poisonous water plants. Which bridge should they choose? The last one. The bridge stands high above the lake. Katie and Jake won't have to touch the water and the plants when crossing it. Luckily, they had radios with them, so they sent an SOS signal to their guide. The guide told them to sit tight. He promised the guys that a rescue team would be shortly on its way to help them. In a few hours, 3 rescue teams reached Katie and John. The guys got suspicious and asked the members of the team who had sent them. The first team said that they'd heard on the radio that a couple had gotten lost in the desert and had come to help them. The members of the second team explained that the hotel the guys were staying at had called the police for help. The last team said they'd received a radio signal saying the couple had been in distress. They immediately came to the rescue. Which team should the couple trust? The last team. John and Katie sent a message to their guide as soon as they got lost, remember? Back in the hotel room, John and Katie found out that someone had broken into their safe. The couple called the police and told the inspector that a few $100s and an expensive watch had been stolen from the safe. In less than a day, the inspector had 3 suspects. The first suspect was Bella, their tour guide. Bella said she'd been really worried about the couple's disappearance and hadn't left her room. The second suspect was Claudio, the hotel manager. He told the inspector that he hadn't even known that the couple had been missing. He was sure they'd been staying in their room this whole time. The last suspect was Bob from the rescue team. He told the inspector it wasn't him. It was the first time he had set foot in the hotel. Who is lying? Claudio. Look at his wrist. He's wearing a very expensive watch that looks exactly like the watch that was stolen. Plus, look at his pocket. He didn't do a good job at hiding the stash of money he'd stolen. After the crime was solved, John and Katie decided it was time to head home. As soon as they arrived at their house, they tried to open the new suitcase they had bought during the trip. They tried several number combinations but couldn't figure out the code. Luckily, Katie remembered she had saved a note on her cell phone. This was the tip she wrote down. 682. One digit is right and in its place. 614. One digit is right, but in the wrong place. 206. 2 digits are right, but both are in the wrong place. 768. All digits are wrong. 380. One digit is right, but in the wrong place. Can you figure out what the 3-digit code to open their suitcase is? (042). The following weekend, Katie's friends invited her to a picnic in the forest. But when she arrived at the agreed place, she didn't see any of her girlfriends. Instead, she saw a large group of people standing in a wide clearing. Apparently, she had come to the wrong location, but right before she left, she noticed that 3 of these people weren't human. Can you spot them? Look at the way that girl over there blinks. This doesn't look normal, does it? And look at that granny's cane. It's part of her body, not a separate object. And that guy is charging his phone using a cable connected to his leg. Yikes! On a rainy Saturday night, John and Katie decided to stay in, order pizza, and watch the Riddle channel on TV. On the screen, there were 2 women. The first one was stuck inside a cage hanging above the ocean, filled with sharks. The other woman was tied with a rope, hanging over a lake with piranhas. Both ropes were about to break. Who has the best chance of surviving? It's lady number 2. The first lady is stuck inside a cage, so she has no way to escape. If she falls into the water, she will most likely not survive. But lady number 2 has both her hands free, so she can try to climb the rope before it tears. The next morning, John went to work. As soon as he arrived at the office, he saw that his colleague Susan was very upset. She said that at one point she had gone to the bathroom, but when she came back, she discovered that someone had stolen her pearl earrings she had kept inside her drawer. John promptly undertook an investigation. The first suspect was Gertrude, a saleswoman. She said she was in a meeting with the CEO and nowhere near Susan's famous pearl earrings. The second suspect was Britt, an IT guy. He said he'd been fixing the company's software all morning. And lastly, John questioned Brian, the CEO, who said he had spent the morning at his daughter's ballet recital. Can you tell who's lying? It was Gertrude. Gertrude's account contradicts the CEO's statement. And plus, look at those pearl earrings she has in her desk drawer. They look somewhat familiar, no? John went back to his desk and started working. Later that evening, a massive power outage made all the lights in the building go out. John heard footsteps approaching him. The next thing he knew, he felt dizzy. He passed out and woke up in a tiny room with a metal door. John tried to open the door, but it was locked. He noticed that next to the door, there was a little device with a red sign that asked for a password. Below the device, there was a piece of paper with the following hint: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. John read the note aloud several times before he finally figured out what the password was. Can you guess what password he typed? He typed in 1 time the number 2, 3 times the number 4, 5 times the number 6, and 7 times the number 8. Phew, that wasn't very obvious, was it? One afternoon, John was walking down the street when he came across a dog. The dog had a collar with its name on it, and a part of its leash was still attached to the collar. It looked like the dog had just run away, so John picked it up and started searching for its owner. He walked into a pet store, and there were 3 people standing near the counter. John took a quick look around and knew immediately who the owner was. How did he figure it out? Look at the guy in the middle. A ripped leash is hanging out of his pocket. He must be the dog's owner. On a beautiful morning, Katie and her friend went on a hike. At some point, they saw a river they needed to cross. Both of them needed to get to the other side. However, the boat could only make one trip back and forth and take one of them at a time. Still, both of them managed to get across the river. How? That's easy. They both went on a hike on the same day, but they weren't together, so they arrived at the river at the same time. But they were on the opposite banks, and after Katie arrived at the other side of the river, her friend managed to get to the opposite bank too.